The galaxy learned one truth too late: when humans say yes out of desperation, entire empires should worry. Jalen Mars stood in the center of the alien council chamber with nothing left to lose. Earth was burning. Humanity was scattered. And the most powerful interstellar coalition had just declared humans economically obsolete. The only thing standing between his species and extinction was a single sentence glowing in alien script above his head. Survival contract. Accept or perish. Jalen swallowed and said yes. The chamber was enormous, carved from black crystal that reflected stars like trapped fire. Dozens of alien delegates watched him from floating platforms. Tall insectoids wrapped in gold mesh, blue-skinned giants with eyes like calm oceans, creatures of light barely holding shape. None of them spoke. Humans were no longer worth conversation. Jalen was not a hero. He was an engineer, formerly of Earth's orbital grids, now a refugee negotiator because he was expendable. He wore a borrowed uniform with a cracked insignia and boots repaired with synth tape. He felt very small. A hovering orb pulsed red. Human delegate, the chamber's neutral AI announced, its voice perfectly calm. You have accepted Clause 17, binding union for species continuation. Jalen frowned. Binding, what? The orb shifted color. Marriage. The word echoed across the chamber. Jalen blinked. Marriage to who? Silence stretched. Then the floor beneath him lit up, forming a circle of ancient symbols. Your partner will arrive at the formal union, the AI said. Identity disclosure prior to bonding is restricted. Jalen laughed once, sharp and humorless. So let me get this straight. Earth is dying. Humanity is starving. And your solution is to make me marry an alien I've never met. Correct. One of the delegates leaned forward, its many eyes glittering. Refusal voids the contract. Acceptance grants humans protected status. Protected. Not saved. Not equal. Just allowed to exist. Jalen thought of Earth's oceans swallowing cities. Of power stations falling silent. Of children growing up under artificial skies. He thought of how humans had always survived, by adapting, by bending rules, by doing the unthinkable. Fine, he said. I accept. The orb flared white. Union scheduled in 6 cycles, the AI replied. Until then, you will be housed under diplomatic custody. Just like that, humanity's future rested on a wedding. The guest quarters were too quiet. Jalen sat alone, staring out at the curve of an alien world glowing violet beneath twin suns. He had been given clean clothes, good food, and silence heavy enough to press on his chest. No one explained why he had been chosen. That worried him more than the marriage. A soft chime broke the stillness. A tall figure entered, humanoid, elegant, with silver markings along their skin. Their eyes were sharp, curious. I am Lyra Voss, the alien said. Assigned liaison. Congratulations, Jalen muttered. You're officially involved in the weirdest diplomatic disaster in history. Lyra tilted her head, amused. You underestimate it. Many civilizations have ended over less, intimate agreements. She activated a floating display. Your species statistics are impressive. High creativity. High adaptability. Extremely high stubbornness. That last one's our best feature, Jalen said. Lyra studied him more closely. Do you understand what this union means? It means humans don't get wiped out, he replied. Everything else is details. She hesitated. It also binds you legally, politically, and biologically to a member of another power structure. Jalen looked up. Power structure. Lyra's expression shifted, just slightly. You were not informed. No, he said slowly. I was informed that this was about survival. Lyra paused, then said carefully, then perhaps survival is more complex than you were told. Before Jalen could ask more, the display vanished. You will be prepared for the ceremony, Lyra said. Rest. Wait, Jalen said. At least tell me one thing. She stopped. Am I marrying someone important? Lyra met his eyes. Yes. Then she left. The days passed too quickly. Jalen was trained in alien customs, ceremonial posture, and interspecies etiquette. He learned how to stand, when to speak, and, most importantly, when to stay silent. Every lesson came with subtle warnings. Do not interrupt during oath exchange. Do not question rank during bonding. Do not display fear. It is considered contagious. At night, Jalen lay awake, mind racing. Humans had always believed power came from size, weapons, or numbers. But in space, power came from influence, alliances, and information. And someone had decided he was worth binding to that power. On the final day, Lyra returned with ceremonial attire, dark fabric threaded with living light. This adapts to your physiology, she said. And monitors me, Jalen guessed. Yes. Great. Even my clothes don't trust me. She almost smiled. As the ceremony hour approached, the station buzzed with activity. Alien dignitaries arrived by the thousands. Entire fleets gathered nearby, not for war, but for witnessing. That terrified Jalen. Lyra, he said quietly as they walked toward the chamber. Be honest. Why is everyone here? She answered without looking at him. Because this union changes balances. Balances of what? She stopped before the massive doors. Everything. The doors began to open. Light spilled out, brilliant, blinding, alive. Inside waited the most powerful beings in the known galaxy. And at the center, standing alone, was the bride he had never seen. Jalen stepped forward, heart pounding, unaware that by the end of this union, the galaxy would no longer underestimate humanity. And neither would his wife. The moment Jalen saw her, the galaxy made sense in a way it never had before. She stood beneath the chamber's central light, calm and perfectly still. Her form was elegant, humanoid, wrapped in flowing white gold ceremonial armor that shimmered like starlight on water. Her skin carried faint constellations, living patterns that shifted slowly, as if the universe itself breathed through her. A crown hovered just above her head, not touching, rotating in silent orbit. Every alien in the chamber, every single one, was kneeling. Not politely. Not symbolically. In fear. In respect. Jalen took an involuntary step back. This, he whispered, is not a normal marriage. Lyra stood rigid beside him. No, she said softly. It is not. The bride turned. Her eyes met Jalen's, and the noise of the chamber vanished. They were deep, luminous, ancient, holding intelligence far beyond any being he had ever encountered. Yet there was no cruelty in them. Only focus. Curiosity. She studied him the way a scientist studied an unexpected result. Then she smiled. It was small. Controlled. Powerful. The eyes' voice echoed. Commencing binding union. Jalen barely heard it. He felt suddenly exposed, human, fragile, temporary. He was surrounded by beings who measured time in centuries, power in star systems. And he was here because humanity had run out of options. The bride stepped forward. The chamber reacted instantly. Delegates lowered their heads further. Energy fields rippled outward as if reality itself adjusted around her. She stopped directly in front of Jalen. I am Aurelian Vera, she said. Her voice was calm, but it carried weight. Not loudness. Authority. By ancient law, I accept this union. Jalen's mouth was dry. I'm Jalen Ma. By very recent law, I also accept. A few aliens flinched. Aurelian's eyes flicked briefly to the chamber. A ripple of amusement crossed her expression. Interesting. The crystal between them rose into the air, glowing brighter. It pulsed once, then split into two threads of light, one wrapping around Jalen's wrist, the other around Aurelian's. The chamber gasped. Lyra sucked in a breath. It bonded immediately. The AI hesitated for the first time in recorded history. Biological and quantum synchronization achieved, it announced. Compatibility exceeds projected parameters. Exceeds. Aurelian looked down at the glowing thread between her and Jalen. Her brows lifted slightly. You are adaptable, she said. Jalen swallowed. I get that a lot. The ceremony ended in stunned silence. No celebration followed. No music. No applause. Instead, the galaxy recalculated. Later, in private quarters far larger than anything Jalen had ever imagined, he finally asked the question burning his mind. Who are you? Aurelian stood by a massive viewport, watching stars drift by. She did not turn. I rule the Varen Dominion, she said. And by extension, much of the known galaxy. Jalen stared. You're a queen. I am the central authority, she corrected. Queen is a simplified human term. His knees felt weak. So when I married you, you became my consort, she said calmly. And legally, my equal in union. Equal. That word echoed louder than any alien decree. Jalen let out a shaky laugh. You could have warned me. I could not, Aurelian replied. The law forbids coercion through knowledge. So instead, you let me walk in blind. Yes. He rubbed his face. You know humans aren't exactly famous for calm reactions. She turned then, studying him again. You did not panic. You did not flee. You did not beg. I was terrified, he said. I just didn't see another option. Aurelian nodded slowly. That is why the algorithm chose you. Algorithm? Jalen scoffed. This wasn't random. No, she said simply. It was necessary. She gestured, and a star map filled the air. Borders glowed red. Entire regions flickered unstable. The galaxy is decaying, Aurelian said. Stagnation. Predictability. Species repeating the same solutions until collapse. Her eyes hardened. Humans are different. Jalen frowned. We're barely surviving. Exactly, she said. And yet you innovate faster under pressure than any species I have studied. You build miracles from scraps. You adapt without permission. She stepped closer. I required that. Jalen felt the weight of her gaze. So humanity was a resource. Aurelian paused. Yes, she admitted. At first. At first, he echoed. Her voice softened. But now you are something else. A distant alarm suddenly sounded. Lyra's voice came through the chamber. Your radiance. Emergency transmission. The Kareen Collective has mobilized fleets. Aurelian's expression sharpened instantly. They sensed the union. They're challenging it, Lyra continued. They claim the bond destabilizes the power equilibrium. Jalen stared. Because, me. Because humanity, Aurelian corrected. She turned to him. This is where survival becomes responsibility. What do you need me to do? Jalen asked. Aurelian smiled again, but this time, it was genuine. Think like a human. The galaxy's most powerful fleets were moving. And for the first time in centuries, the Queen of Everything was excited. The galaxy prepared for war. Jalen learned this not from alarms or explosions, but from silence. Entire star lanes went dark. Trade signals vanished. The steady background noise of interstellar life, traffic pings, diplomatic chatter, automated commerce, collapsed into a tense void. For civilizations that relied on predictability, silence was terror. For humans, it was familiar. They're isolating us, Jalen said, staring at the tactical projection hovering over the chamber floor. Red markers formed a tightening ring around Varen space. Classic pressure move. Cut supply, wait for panic, force mistakes. Aurelian stood beside him, hands folded behind her back. The Kareen Collective has never lost a conflict. Neither have we, Jalen replied. She turned, one brow lifting. Humanity has lost many wars. True, Jalen said. But we've never lost being human. That made her pause. The Dominion's War Council filled the chamber, admirals, strategists, beings whose minds process probabilities faster than supercomputers. They spoke in precise predictions, confidence percentages, and optimal responses. Jalen listened quietly. That worried them. Human consort, one crystalline being said at last, its voice chiming like glass. You have contributed nothing to the solution space. Jalen smiled. That's because you're all solving the wrong problem. A low murmur spread. Aurelian did not interrupt. The Kareen aren't attacking because they fear our fleets, Jalen continued. They're attacking because they fear change. That is obvious, another council member said. No, Jalen replied. You think they fear power shifting hands. They don't. They fear losing relevance. He tapped the projection. They've optimized themselves into a corner. Same strategies. Same responses. Same wars. Humans don't do that. And what do humans do? The crystalline being asked. Jalen's eyes hardened. We cheat. Silence. Aurelian's lips twitched. We don't fight fair, Jalen went on. We don't fight clean. We don't fight expected. You've all built a galaxy that runs like a perfect machine. Humans are the wrench. Several council members recoiled at the metaphor. Disruptive, one muttered. Exactly, Jalen said. So stop meeting the Kareen where they expect you. Aurelian raised a hand. Let him finish. Jalen took a breath. They're blockading us. That means they're committed. They think time is on their side. So let's give them something else to worry about. He pulled up a secondary map, older, barely used routes. Human engineers rebuilt half of Earth's infrastructure during climate collapse, he said. We learned how to reroute power, grow food in ruins, and communicate without networks. He pointed. These dead zones? They're not dead. They're just ignored. The crystalline being pulsed uncertainly. Those regions are economically irrelevant. Perfect, Jalen said. Let's put something there. The first human-led operation did not involve weapons. It involved junk. Abandoned stations. Broken relays. Forgotten mining rigs. Humans moved in quietly, repairing, repurposing, reconnecting. They used scavenged tech, hacked alien systems, and methods no advanced civilization considered worth studying. They called it infrastructure gardening. Within weeks, entire shadow networks bloomed. The Kareen noticed too late. Trade resumed through unexpected channels. Information flowed around blockades. Human-designed microeconomies sprang up in places the galaxy had written off centuries ago. Panic spread. They're bypassing us, a Kareen commander snarled during intercepted transmissions. How? Aurelian watched the report scroll by, astonished. You turned our weaknesses into arteries. Jalen shrugged. We've been surviving in broken systems our whole history. The Kareen escalated. Their fleets advanced. This time, Aurelian stood before the galaxy, not as a ruler, but as a united voice. My union with humanity is lawful, she declared. Your aggression is not. The response came swiftly. Then we will unmake the union. The first shots were fired. Human ships were smaller, weaker, underarmed. They did not charge. They scattered. Kareen fleets pursued, precise, overwhelming, certain. Then the battlefield changed. Human ships lured enemies into unstable zones, gravitational eddies, debris fields mapped only in outdated human databases. They used drones piloted by humans trained on obsolete simulators, because outdated systems behaved unpredictably. Human crews rerouted power manually when systems failed. They fought with redundancy, improvisation, and creativity no algorithm could predict. Aurelian watched in disbelief as a Kareen flagship disabled itself trying to counter a maneuver that made no strategic sense. It violates every known doctrine, an admiral said. Yes, Aurelian replied softly. That is the point. The turning moment came when the Kareen attempted a decapitation strike. They targeted Aurelian. Jalen felt it before the alarms, an ache in his chest, a pull through the bond. "They're coming for you," he said. "I know," she answered. "You can't face them head on." "I don't intend to." Aurelian stood tall, energy gathering around her like a star about to ignite. Jalen grabbed her wrist. "Listen to me. Power scares them. Uncertainty breaks them." She searched his face. "What are you proposing?" He smiled, a very human smile. "Let me talk to them." The council erupted. "That is unacceptable. He is unarmed. He is human." Aurelian raised her hand. Silence fell. "Proceed," she said. Jalen stepped into the transmission chamber and opened a channel to the Kareen Collective. Their leaders appeared, cold, ancient, furious. "I'm Jalen Ma," he said calmly. "Human." "You are irrelevant," one hissed. Jalen nodded. "That's what everyone says. Right before things change." He leaned closer to the camera. "You can destroy ships. You can burn worlds. But you can't stop humans from building. And now, we're building everywhere." Data flooded their displays, networks, alliances, human communities forming across neutral space. "You can fight us forever," Jalen continued. "Or you can adapt." The Kareen hesitated. No one had ever offered them a third option. Behind Jalen, Aurelian watched, realizing something profound. She had married power. But she had bonded with possibility. And the galaxy would never be the same. The Kareen Collective did not respond immediately. For the first time in their recorded history, they hesitated. Jalen stood alone in the transmission chamber, arms relaxed at his sides, heart pounding so hard he was sure the microphones could hear it. Across the void, the alien leaders whispered among themselves in frequencies humans could not hear. But Jalen had learned long ago that silence was often louder than shouting. "They're calculating," Aurelian said quietly from behind him. "Good," Jalen replied. "That means they're scared." The channel flickered. One of the Kareen leaders leaned forward, its elongated face hard and sharp, eyes like polished stone. "You offer chaos disguised as cooperation," it hissed. "Humans destabilize every system they touch." Jalen nodded slowly. "Yeah, that's fair." The Kareen stiffened, clearly not expecting agreement. "But here's the thing," Jalen continued. "The galaxy you built? It's already collapsing. You just arranged the fall neatly so you wouldn't have to look at it." Murmurs rippled across the Kareen delegation. "You fear humans because we don't fit," Jalen said. "We don't stay in the boxes you design. We fail, adapt, rebuild, and try again. Over and over." He paused, letting his next words land. "And now, we're part of the system whether you like it or not." The Kareen leader's voice dropped. "You think marriage to a ruler makes your species untouchable?" Jalen smiled, not arrogantly, but honestly. "No," he said. "I think humans being everywhere makes us unavoidable." The channel went dark. The retaliation came within hours. Not fleets. Sanctions. The Kareen cut off access to ancient trade codes, froze financial networks, and declared human-influenced regions unstable and illegal. Entire economies flickered as automated systems rejected human-created workarounds. Alien advisors panicked. "This is catastrophic," one strategist said. "Supply chains are failing." Aurelian turned to Jalen. "They are trying to starve you out." Jalen exhaled slowly. "Yeah, that tracks." He stepped forward. "Give me access." "To what?" an admiral asked. "Everything," Jalen said. "Every system they think we need." Aurelian did not hesitate. "Granted." What followed confused the galaxy. Human engineers did not attempt to restore the old systems. They replaced them. Using open protocols, simple designs, and redundant structures, humans built parallel economies that didn't rely on centralized approval. They bartered energy. They shared food production techniques. They traded skills instead of currency. It was messy. It was inefficient. It worked. "Why isn't this collapsing?" an alien economist demanded. Jalen answered calmly, because humans don't wait for permission to survive. Across dozens of systems, alien populations quietly adopted human methods, not because they were elegant, but because they were resilient. The Karine's control slipped. The breaking point came at Alio's gate. The Karine fleet arrived in overwhelming force, positioning themselves to sever a major transit hub permanently. It was a show of dominance, final, brutal, decisive. Aurelian stood on the command deck, her presence steadying the room. "They will fire if we resist," an admiral warned. Jalen looked at the tactical map, then shook his head. "They won't." "Explain," Aurelian said. "They can't," Jalen replied. "Because if they do, they prove we were right." The fleet powered weapons anyway. Jalen opened a broadcast. "To everyone. To the Karine Collective," he said, voice steady. "And to every species watching." Screens lit up across space. "You've spent centuries ruling through fear and efficiency. Humans tried that once too. It failed." He gestured behind him, where human crews worked side by side with aliens of a dozen species. "We are not strong because we are perfect," Jalen said. "We are strong because we help each other when we are not." A long pause followed. Then something unprecedented happened. A Karine ship powered down its weapons. Then another. Then a third. Internal fractures spread through the collective as younger Karine commanders refused orders that would shatter everything they were meant to preserve. Aurelian watched in awe. "They are choosing," she whispered. Jalen nodded. "That's all humans ever ask for." Later, in the quiet aftermath, Jalen stood with Aurelian beneath a simulated night sky. "You changed them," she said. "No," Jalen replied. "They changed themselves. We just showed them another way." She studied him, this human who carried no throne, no crown, no fear of failure. "You never asked for power," she said. Jalen shrugged. "Power's heavy. Responsibility's worse." Aurelian smiled softly. "Yet you carry both." She stepped closer. "The galaxy now sees humanity as a stabilizing force." "That's new," Jalen said. "We're usually the problem." "Not anymore," she replied. "You remind the galaxy how to grow." He met her gaze. "So, what happens next?" Aurelian looked out at the stars. "Next," she said, "we face the consequences of hope." Far away, new signals appeared, ancient powers awakening, watching humanity's rise with interest. Some curious, some afraid, and some already planning how to stop it. Jalen exhaled slowly. "Guess we're not done yet." Aurelian's smile held both pride and promise. "No," she said. "We are only beginning." Hope is dangerous. The ancient powers knew this. They had watched the rise and fall of civilizations long before humanity learned to shape fire. They had seen empires burn themselves out on arrogance, stagnation, and fear of change. And now, for the first time in millennia, something unpredictable had entered the equation. Humans. The warning came as a ripple through reality itself. Aurelian felt it first, an ache in the bond that linked her to Jalen, sharper than fear, colder than space. "They're awake," she said quietly. Jalen looked up from a data slate filled with human-designed logistics models. "Let me guess. Ancient. Powerful. Very unhappy." "Yes," she replied. "The Continuum." The name alone silenced the room. The Continuum was not an empire. It was a concept made real, an alliance of elder civilizations that believed the galaxy must remain static to survive. No rapid growth. No disruptive species. No chaos. Humanity violated every rule they worshipped. A message arrived, encoded in space-time rather than language. When translated, it was simple and terrifying. Humanity must be contained. Panic spread through allied systems. "They'll erase us," an alien governor whispered. "They erase anything that destabilizes equilibrium." Jalen leaned back in his chair, hands clasped behind his head. "Yeah," he said calmly. "That sounds about right." Aurelian turned to him. They command forces beyond fleets. Beyond technology. Even I cannot face them directly. Jalen stood. Good, he said. Neither can we. The room stared at him. If we fight them like gods, we lose, Jalen continued. So let's not. Aurelian studied his face. What are you proposing? Jalen smiled, a tired, stubborn, very human smile. We do what humans have always done. He gestured to the room, to the screens showing dozens of species working together. We cooperate. We share. We spread. The continuum struck first. Not with destruction, but with erasure. Entire systems vanished from maps. History rewrote itself. Civilizations forgot allies they had stood beside for centuries. The continuum didn't kill. They removed. Fear nearly broke the coalition. Nearly. Humans responded in the only way they knew how. They documented everything. Stories. Records. Redundant archives spread across thousands of worlds, written, spoken, encoded in art, music, memory. Humans taught other species how to preserve identity through chaos. If reality forgets you, Jalen told them, leave something it can't ignore. Human engineers designed systems that rebuilt themselves when erased. Human artists encoded history into patterns the continuum couldn't fully suppress. Human communities refused to vanish quietly. The continuum slowed. Confused. They adapt faster than removal, one ancient voice observed. They rebuild faster than decay, another admitted. Aurelian stood before the galaxy once more, not as queen, but as witness. Humanity does not seek dominion, she declared. They seek continuity. Jalen stepped beside her. We don't want to replace the galaxy, he said. We want to live in it. The continuum hesitated. For the first time since their creation, they encountered a force that didn't seek control, victory, or perfection. Only persistence. The final decision did not come with fireworks. It came with allowance. The continuum withdrew, not defeated, but changed. They reclassified humanity not as a threat, but as a necessary variable. The galaxy breathed again. Years later, humans were everywhere. Not rulers. Builders. Fixers. Connectors. They lived in the cracks of old systems and turned them into foundations. Where stagnation lingered, humans introduced motion. Where fear ruled, humans asked questions. Jalen stood on a quiet observation deck with Aurelian, watching ships of every species pass freely. You know, he said, I agreed to that marriage thinking it would save us. Aurelian smiled softly. It did. No, Jalen corrected. It gave us a chance. Humans did the rest. She took his hand. No crown, no ceremony, just choice. The galaxy underestimated you, she said. Jalen chuckled. Yeah. We get that a lot. Below them, a human-built station pulsed with life, imperfect, loud, alive. The galaxy had learned many lessons over its long existence. But the most important one was this. Never underestimate a species that survives by refusing to give up. Especially when that species is human.